So we were discussing about the male reproductive system. In that, we also studied about the accessory ducts, accessory glands, external genitalia, the testicular lobules in the testes, then the seminiferous tubules. In seminiferous tubule, we studied about the male germ cell, Sertoli cells, and Leydig cells. The definitions of male germ cells, Sertoli cells, and Leydig cells are important. Next, coming to the accessory ducts, and this is how the male germ cells helps in the formation of the sperms, which we studied here in the last class. Then the male sex accessory ducts, that is the retitestis, vasa efferentia, epididymis, and vas deferens. Then the male accessory glands, seminal vesicle, prostate gland, and bulbovial glands, and then the semen. Next, coming to the female reproductive system. Now, when we study about the female reproductive system, first thing which comes in our mind is uterus. Yes or no? What comes in our mind is uterus. Now, along with the uterus, there are many other things which are important. So, the uterine cavity, here in this is a gap, right? This is called as a uterine cavity. Then the uterine cavity is lined with the 3 layers of skin that we call it as endometrium wall, which you already know. Endometrium wall, which helps the or supports the developing fetus. Myometrium, which is a middle layer, and the perimetrium, which is the outer layer. So you need to remember, students, endometrium, myometrium, and perimetrium. So the endometrium is the inner layer, which helps in the supporting the developing fetus, the myometrium, and the perimetrium. Next, coming to the ovary. The ovary is nothing but which fertilizes with the sperm to form a zygote, and that zygote forms into a developing embryo and the fetus. Developing embryo and the fetus, that is the baby. Next, coming to isthmus, ampulla, and infundibulum. And this isthmus, ampulla, and infundibulum comes together in a fallopian tube. Where it comes together? They come together in the fallopian tube. And the fimbriae, from where the ovary gets transplanted to the uterine cavity, it is known as finger-like projections. The finger-like projections, can you see here? Finger-like projections are called as fimbriae. What they are called as? They are called as fimbriae. This is an important diagram, students. Once again, I'm repeating it time and again in the question paper. It has been asked. It is an important diagram, and those are nothing but our finger-like projections. Next, there is a cervix, cervical canal inside here. There is a cervix here, which we call it a cervic region, cervical canal, and the vagina, which is the external. Yes or no? Vagina is nothing but the external. Now, what you need to remember here? You need to remember here about those 3 layers: endometrium, myometrium, and perimetrium, the ovary, the fallopian tube, which includes isthmus, ampulla, and infundibulum, and those fimbriae, which are known as finger-like projections. What they are called as finger-like projections. Clear? This is an important diagram. Again, I'm repeating, this is asked time and again in your question papers, in your previous year question paper. So I request you to learn and practice this diagram time and again. I want you to practice it again and again. Clear? So the female reproductive system, it consists of what? It consists of fallopian tube, which includes isthmus, ampulla, and infundibulum. There are fimbriae, which are finger-like projections. Then there are 3 layers: endometrium layer, myometrium layer, and perimetrium layer. It also includes cervix, cervical canal, and vagina, uterine cavity, and uterine fundus. Now, coming to the female reproductive part. Now, the female reproductive part, which I have already told you, it consists of the 2 ovaries. Yes or no? It consists of 2 ovaries, a pair of ovaries, then the fallopian tube, then the uterine cavity, the cervix, the vagina, which is the external genitalia. Yes. Along with it, what is there? Along with it, it also consists of a pair of mammary glands. Yes or no? Every woman has a pair of mammary glands which are to support the process of structurally and functionally to support the process of ovulation, fertilization, pregnancy, birth, and after birth also. That is the lactation. Yes. So what happens? These parts, along with the mammary glands, helps in the function like fertilization process, ovulation process, pregnancy, birth, and after birth care. Mammary glands are useful in the lactation period. What do you mean by lactation period? Lactation period is nothing but providing the care and the milk to the developing baby. Yes or no? Providing the milk and care to the developing baby. The female reproductive system, you need to first remember, it consists of fallopian tube, the pair of ovaries, the cervix, the external genitalia, that is the vagina, the uterus, yes, the uterus, along with it, mammary glands. Why mammary glands? Because after pregnancy, when the babies are born, they have to be provided with the milk, that is the lactation. That is the lactation. So the ovaries are the primary female sex organ. Yes, they are the primary female sex organ that produce female gamete, which is ovum or egg, and also produces many such hormones in the female body. Many female hormones, female reproductive hormones. So ovaries are major. They are very important. Why they are important, students? They are important because they produce something known as ovum or egg. They produce something known as ovum or egg. Now the question is, if it is asked for you, draw and explain the different parts of the female reproductive system, you need to give all these. Yes, you need to give all these things. So the ovaries are located here in the lower abdomen region. In the lower abdomen region, that is the lower body of yours after your stomach, there it is present. So then the ovary is covered by a thin epithelium which encloses the ovarian stroma. Yes, there is one layer. You can see here, students, it is a kind of a skin which covers this ovary. Then the fallopian tube, that is the oviduct, uterus, and vagina are the female accessory ducts. Vagina, the uterus, which I call it as the uterine cavity, and the oviduct, that is the fallopian tube. This side and this side as well. The fallopian tube are nothing but the female accessory ducts. The female accessory ducts. Each fallopian tube is 10 to 12 centimeter long and extends from the periphery of each ovary in the funnel-shaped infundibulum. Yes, from here to here it extends. Yes, from here to here it extends. It is about 10 to 12 centimeter long. Then coming, there are finger-like projections for the infundibulum, and they are known as fimbriae. What they are known as fimbriae, which helps in the collection of the ovum after ovulation. What happens here? The ovum is released from the ovary. The ovum is collected by this fimbriae, which helps in the movement inside the uterus. The infundibulum leads to the wider part of the oviduct called as ampulla. Can you see here, like this, a junction? We call it as. So there is an ampulla. First it is fimbriae, then infundibulum, then the ampulla. Then coming to the isthmus region. Then coming to the isthmus region, which has a narrow lumen and it joins to the uterus. The isthmus region, which is a small part, narrow part, which comes and makes the uterus. The uterus is single and it is called as womb. Yes, where the baby is growing. The baby is growing or the baby grows. It is known as uterus, or we call it as womb. The uterus is like an inverted pear. Can you see here like this? It is no kind of an inverted pear shape, or we call it as like this inverted pear shape. Yes or no? So it is an inverted pear shape. Uterus is supported by ligaments attached to the pelvic region. Yes, ligaments are nothing but the skin or kind of a bony bone where the skin is attached to the bones. The uterus is opens into vagina. Here it is the opening, the vagina, through the narrow opening called as cervix, from where it helps in the movement of the male external genitalia, which helps in the movement of the male external genitalia. And the cavity, which we call it as cervical canal, along with the vagina, forms a birth canal. Birth canal is nothing but which helps in the movement of the baby outside the uterus, which helps in the movement of the baby outside the uterus. So here, the vagina is the external part of the female reproductive system. After that, it moves up to become a cervical canal, and this cervical canal is nothing but a cavity along with the vagina, which helps in the movement of the baby after the delivery. After the delivery, and there are three walls for the uterus. How many walls? Three walls. One is endometrium, perimetrium, or pericardium, at the myometrium. The perimetrium is the external thin membrane. Yes, this is an external thin membrane, which you can see it, outside membrane it is. Okay, students. So it is the outside membrane. Myometrium is a middle thick layer of smooth muscles, which helps in the contraction during the delivery of the baby. Contraction is nothing but, students, the labor pain, where the contraction of the muscles takes place, that is moving inside, moving outside, moving inside, moving outside. So that is the myometrium, which is a middle thick layer of smooth muscles which helps in the strong contraction during the delivery of baby. Next, coming to endometrium. You all know in the endometrium layer is nothing but the inner glandular layer, which the layer undergoes cyclic changes during the menstrual cycle. Yes, the breaking of the endometrium wall takes place and you have your regular menstrual cycle. So here, first thing you need to remember, what is the female reproductive system made up of? It is made up of fallopian tube, the uterus, and the vagina. Yes, it also consists of the three layers: endometrium, myometrium, and perimetrium. The fimbriae, which helps in the movement of the ovum inside the uterus, or where the fimbriae, where the collection of the ovum takes place. Then the ampulla, which is a kind of a junction. Then the isthmus, which is a narrow canal. And the uterus, or the womb, where the baby grows. The cervical canal helps in the movement of the baby outside the vagina. The myometrium muscles, smooth muscles, helps in the contraction of the uterus, which helps in the movement of the baby outside the body. So these are the different parts of the female reproductive system. So students, please go through it, learn the diagram, practice it, learn the explanation of the, if it is asked for you, draw and explain the structure of the female reproductive part, you need to give all this information. If you have got any doubts, any confusion, anything you need to ask, you can ask me in the next class, or you can personally call me up or message me asking regarding any doubts if you have. Yes, students, thank you so much. Have a nice day.